See this last night, Fever superstar Caitlin Clark joining the NBC Sunday Night Basketball pregame show. She was a special contributor for last night's Lakers-Knicks game.
You can see her here alongside Pacers legend Reggie Miller. She is back on NBC March 29th when the Knicks play the Thunder in OKC.
Joined by our special correspondent. Welcome to the team, Caitlin Clark. Yes.
First time in the MSG for a Knicks game, so it's pretty cool.
I know, it's our first Knicks game, first time feeling the atmosphere. We got to get you to play on this court one day.
We have to talk to Matt Adam about that.
Can we make it mellow? Honestly, if there's someone
Even if it's a preseason game, we got to get it done. I don't think the Liberty will want to move a game over here, but we'll play anybody. It'll be fun.
Yeah. How could you describe maybe the atmosphere your first time in it?
Well, I think as a player, like this is kind of when you feel the atmosphere the most is when you're out on the court warming up. So, I mean, there's just a different type of buzz. And obviously when LeBron comes to town, it's probably really different. But, you know, Knicks fans are crazy and I love it. I love people that are passionate about basketball. So it's pretty incredible.
She just proved she's better at this than people who've been doing it for 20 years. Caitlin Clark's broadcast debut on NBC has the entire basketball world talking. And what she pulled off in her first appearance is honestly insane. This wasn't some fluff interview where she smiled and said, "Thank you for having me." She walked onto Basketball Night in America and delivered analysis so sharp, so professional, that seasoned broadcasters are wondering how she made it look this easy. And here's the kicker. She's doing this while still being an active player.
In May, you can catch the brightest stars in the game. Caitlin Clark going toe-to-toe with the biggest women's basketball stars on the biggest stage. And guess what, guys? We are less than 100 days away from the start of the 2026 season, but the WNBA and the Players Association are still negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement, with the latest meeting actually scheduled for tomorrow. You can take a look at last year's off-season calendar. The league is already behind schedule. No expansion draft yet for the two new franchises in Portland and Toronto. And ahead of last season, the Golden State Valkyries expansion draft, you can see it. It took place in December of 2026, and they're scheduled to tip off May 8th. Caitlin, I'm just curious because you said that this moment right now is one of the biggest moments the WNBA has ever seen. Looking forward into the future, what would you like to see happen as you come to a negotiation?
Well, honestly, I don't think it's just a big moment for the WNBA. I think all of women's sports, I think this is one of the biggest moments we've ever had. So, you know, I feel very confident that we're going to get something done. And that's because we're in this moment because of the product we put on the floor. So we need to be able to continue to do that. And I know everybody's working really hard. There's a meeting tomorrow that's super important. And I truly do believe we're going to get something done here in the next couple of weeks. But like you said, I mean, there's a lot of boxes that we still need to check. We've added two new teams. I mean, there's going to be more players than ever, and then we have to get into free agency, then have a normal draft as well. So there's a lot of things left to do, but I really do feel confident that both sides are going to reach a deal here soon.
Yeah.
NBC puts Caitlin on their flagship basketball show, right in the middle of absolute chaos in the WNBA. And I'm not exaggerating about the chaos. The league is less than 100 days from tip-off for the 2026 season, but there's no collective bargaining agreement. No expansion draft for the two new teams in Portland and Toronto. Free agency hasn't started because they can't start it without a CBA. The draft is supposedly happening April 13th, but nothing's confirmed because the entire business structure of the league is up in the air. It's a complete mess. And NBC decides, you know what? Let's put the league's biggest star on national television to talk about this minefield of a situation. That's either the boldest programming decision of the year, or they're setting her up to fail on live TV. Turns out, it was absolutely brilliant, because Caitlin didn't just handle it, she dominated it. Now listen to this part, because this is where you see the difference between someone who gets it and someone who's just a good basketball player.
Draft slated for April 13th, but the growth of the league has been so much. I mean, can you just help us to understand the transition this league is going on right now?
I mean, it's incredible. And I remember my first WNBA game when I was a young girl. I went to the Minnesota Lynx when they had their dynasty with Maya Moore, and they were playing the Seattle Storm. And now basically any arena you go to, it's sold out. We're adding 2 teams. We're up to 14 now, and then hopefully getting to 18 in the next couple of years. So, you know, business is booming, and that's a really good thing. And we kind of just got to keep meeting the moment. The talent's getting better and better. You see it at the college level coming into the professional game too. So I feel very fortunate, and hopefully I have a long career ahead of me as well.
Well, just know that the league's fortunate to have you, a transcendent piece of growing the game. We appreciate you just joining us on Basketball Night in America.
The host asks her about the CBA negotiations, which is basically a trap question for an active player. Say the wrong thing, and you've got the league mad at you, or the union mad at you, or you sound like you don't understand the business. Most players would give some generic "we're working together, I'm confident it'll work out" nonsense. Not Caitlin. She said this is one of the biggest moments, not just for the WNBA, but for all of women's sports. Then she broke down exactly what's at stake. She mentioned the meeting happening, expressed real confidence about a deal in the next couple weeks, and then listed everything that still needs to happen after that. 2 expansion teams, more players than the league's ever had, free agency, the draft, all of it. That's not reading talking points someone handed her backstage. That's someone who actually understands how professional sports business works and can explain it clearly to millions of people watching at home. And get this, while Caitlin's on national television giving thoughtful, professional analysis about the future of the league, some WNBA veterans are literally outside league offices waving inflatable rats. I'm not making that up. Inflatable rats. The contrast here is absolutely wild. You've got the face of the league on NBC's premier basketball show, building credibility and expanding the audience, treating the business like a serious professional. And then you've got veterans who resent her success out there with protest props, like this is a college campus demonstration. One approach makes the league look legitimate and ready for mainstream success. The other approach makes you look completely unserious about actual business. I'll let you decide which is which. But here's where it gets really good. The host asks her to help people understand the transition the league is going through, and Caitlin doesn't give some corporate answer about growth metrics and market expansion. She gets personal. She talks about being a young girl going to her first WNBA game, watching the Minnesota Lynx dynasty with Maya Moore taking on the Seattle Storm. Then she connects that childhood memory to right now. Every arena sold out. 2 new teams coming, going from 12 to hopefully 18 franchises in the next couple years. That's not just answering a question, that's storytelling. She took what could have been a boring question about league expansion and turned it into a narrative about her own journey from fan to player. And that's the kind of answer that resonates with people who aren't die-hard basketball nerds. It's relatable, it's genuine, and it doesn't sound rehearsed or fake. Then she drops this line. Business is booming. And that's a really good thing, and we kind of just gotta keep meeting the moment. Business is booming. Let's talk about what she's really saying here without actually saying it. Because everyone watching knows exactly why business is booming. Caitlin Clark is why business is booming. Her games pulled ratings that the WNBA has never seen before. Her jersey outsells everyone else's combined. When the Indiana Fever come to your city, your arena sells out instantly. But she's not sitting there on NBC taking credit for it. She's talking about the collective product, the rising talent level, the growth, pipeline from college to the pros. That's incredibly smart positioning. She gets to acknowledge the league's massive success without making herself the center of attention, even though literally everyone knows she's the biggest reason for that success. That's media training you can't buy. That's natural instinct for how to handle the spotlight. Now let me tell you why this broadcast debut actually matters. Beyond just Caitlin was good on TV, NBC gave her a spot on Basketball Night in America. That's their flagship basketball program. She's not on some WNBA-specific show that airs at midnight on a Tuesday that nobody watches. She's sitting alongside NBA legends, analyzing professional basketball at the highest level during prime coverage windows. This is real estate that networks usually reserve for former players with decades of experience or career analysts who've been grinding for years. And Caitlin walked in and nailed it on her first attempt. That opens massive doors. If she can consistently deliver this level of analysis and commentary, NBC is absolutely going to want her back regularly. Other networks are going to take notice and start making offers. She's building a legitimate broadcasting career while still playing professionally, which almost never happens. The business implications here are absolutely huge too. Think about what's happening when Caitlin appears on NBA broadcasts. you've got casual NBA fans tuning in to watch Lakers-Knicks highlights, and suddenly they're hearing Caitlin Clark break down WNBA CBA negotiations and expansion dynamics. That's cross-promotion that you literally cannot buy with advertising dollars. You're exposing WNBA content to audiences that might never watch women's basketball otherwise. Some executive at NBC is probably looking at the numbers from her segment and realizing they just found a way to make their NBA coverage more valuable while simultaneously promoting the WNBA. That's a win for everyone involved. Except the people who want Caitlin to fail. Some people are already saying active players shouldn't do broadcasting because it's a conflict of interest or a distraction from their main job. Those people are complete idiots. Caitlin doing this raises her profile, which raises the WNBA's profile, which brings in more viewers, more revenue, more sponsorship deals, and ultimately benefits everyone in the league. The only people who would actually have a problem with this are the same veterans who already resent her success anyway. They're mad she's getting opportunities they never got, but they refuse to acknowledge that she's getting those opportunities because she's actually good at this, and people want to watch her. Merit matters. The audience decides who they want to see, and the audience chose Caitlin. What's also fascinating is how comfortable she looked on camera. Some professional athletes are stiff and awkward during interviews, clearly uncomfortable with media. Attention, giving one-word answers and looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. Caitlin was relaxed, conversational, totally natural. She smiled at appropriate moments, made eye contact with the hosts, didn't rush through her answers or give generic athlete speak. This is someone who's done literally thousands of interviews at this point and has learned exactly how to work with media. She knows when to be serious, when to lighten the mood, when to get personal, when to keep it professional. That's a skill set that takes most people years to develop, and she's already mastered it in her early 20s. And then there's this little moment where she mentions enjoying the Knicks game and putting her slippers on afterward. That might seem like nothing, but it's actually brilliant. It humanizes her. She's not just this basketball machine who only thinks about the game 24/7. She's someone who watches basketball as a fan, gets comfortable at home, enjoys the experience. That relatability is exactly why she connects with audiences in ways that other players don't. People see themselves in her. She feels accessible, even though she's the biggest star in the sport. NBC scheduling her return for March 29th in Oklahoma City tells you everything you need to know about how they feel about this debut. They're not treating this as a one-time publicity stunt. They're building her into the regular rotation of analysts. That means they were extremely happy with how this went and want more of it. For Caitlin, it's more exposure, more practice in front of the camera, more opportunities to build her broadcasting resume while she's still playing. The timing is actually perfect too. The WNBA is in this weird holding pattern where the season is approaching, but nothing can be finalized because of CBA negotiations. Having Caitlin on air to discuss it gives NBC a legitimate way to cover WNBA storylines during the NBA season. It keeps the league in the conversation, even when games aren't being played. Let's address the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. Caitlin is almost certainly making more money from this NBC broadcasting deal than she makes from her entire WNBA salary. Her contract with the Indiana Fever pays her around $76,000 for the season. This broadcasting gig? Probably significantly more than that for way less work and way less physical toll on her body. That's not a criticism of Caitlin making smart business decisions. That's an indictment of how broken the WNBA salary structure is. The fact that the league's biggest star, the player who sells out arenas and drives massive television ratings, can make more money talking about basketball on TV than actually playing it professionally is absolutely absurd. And that's exactly why these CBA negotiations matter so much. Players like Caitlin are generating enormous revenue for the league, but they're not seeing appropriate compensation for it. The broadcasting opportunities are fantastic, and she should absolutely take advantage of them, but they shouldn't be necessary for professional athletes to make decent money. Some veterans have actually been critical of Caitlin pursuing these outside opportunities, saying she should focus solely on basketball. But why? If the league isn't paying enough for players to live comfortably, why wouldn't they maximize their earning potential through endorsements and media work? Criticizing Caitlin for being smart about her career is just jealousy, disguised as concern for the sport. This broadcast debut also proves something that some people still don't want to accept. Caitlin has star power that transcends basketball. People who don't follow the WNBA closely, who might not even like women's basketball, were watching because she was on. That's the definition of a transcendent athlete. Her presence draws attention regardless of what she's doing. Playing in games, doing analyst work, appearing on podcasts, it doesn't matter. If Caitlin's involved, people pay attention. That's not something you can manufacture or fake. Either you have it or you don't. NBC clearly understands this, which is why they're integrating her into their NBA coverage instead of creating some separate WNBA show that would get minimal viewership. They're putting her on their main basketball program, alongside established NBA analysts, treating her like she belongs there at the highest level. Because she does belong there. Her basketball IQ and ability to communicate complex ideas clearly is on par with anyone in the broadcasting industry. This isn't charity or diversity hiring. This is NBC recognizing talent and putting it on display. The reaction from other analysts and media personalities has been overwhelmingly positive too. People who cover basketball for a living, who would normally be the harshest critics, are praising how well she handled herself. That's significant because those are exactly the people who would call it out if she'd struggled or seemed unprepared. The fact that they're genuinely impressed tells you this wasn't just hype because she's popular. She delivered legitimate quality work that stands on its own merit. What Caitlin is doing here is building a brand that goes way beyond just being a basketball player. She's positioning herself as a complete media personality. Player, analyst, ambassador for the sport, all of it. That kind of multifaceted brand is exponentially more valuable long-term than just being known for playing. When her playing career eventually ends, and that could be 10 or 15 years from now, she'll have already established herself as a broadcaster with years of experience. That's incredibly smart career planning that most athletes don't even think about until they retire and suddenly need a job. Her comment about having a long career ahead of her is interesting when you really think about it. She's not just talking about playing basketball. She's talking about a long career in basketball broadly, including media work, analysis, possibly coaching or front office roles eventually. That suggests she's thinking about this as a decades-long journey in the sport, not just cashing in on current popularity and then disappearing. That kind of long-term vision is rare for someone in their early 20s. Most young athletes are focused entirely on their playing career and don't think about what comes after until it's too late. Comparing this debut to how other athletes have transitioned into broadcasting, Caitlin is miles ahead of where most people start. It usually takes former players years to develop on-camera presence, learn how to give concise analysis, figure out how to be entertaining without being obnoxious. Caitlin is doing all of that naturally from day one. That's either incredible natural talent for broadcasting, or she's put in serious behind-the-scenes work preparing for this opportunity. Probably both. She's naturally charismatic and well-spoken, but she's also clearly studied what good analysts do and adapted those techniques. The way she discussed the CBA situation without creating any controversy was masterful. She acknowledged the challenges and complexity, expressed genuine optimism about reaching a resolution, but avoided saying anything that could be used against her by either the league or the players' union. That's political savvy that most active players simply don't have. She managed to discuss an extremely contentious topic that has real financial implications for everyone involved, and she did it without creating any problems for herself. That's walking a tightrope successfully. NBC has to be absolutely thrilled with how this went. They took a calculated risk putting an active player on their flagship show to discuss complicated business issues, and she completely knocked it out of the park. That's the kind of success that leads to more opportunities, bigger roles, potentially even a full-time broadcasting position after her playing career ends. They found someone who can talk intelligently about basketball, connects with audiences, and brings built-in viewership. That's the holy grail for sports broadcasting. For the WNBA as a league, having Caitlin succeed in this role is massive. It puts their league on NBC's main basketball platform, discussed seriously right alongside NBA content. That legitimizes the WNBA in ways that separate segregated coverage never could. When the biggest star in women's basketball is analyzing both men's and women's basketball side by side, treated as an equal by NBA analysts and hosts, it sends a clear message that both leagues deserve equal respect and serious coverage. The fact that she's doing all this while the CBA is still being negotiated adds yet another layer to how impressive this is. She's out here promoting the league, discussing its growth potential, expressing confidence in its future, all while the entire business structure is legitimately in chaos behind the scenes. That's being a true professional. A less professional approach would be complaining publicly about the CBA mess, refusing to do media appearances until it's resolved, or making demands and threats. Caitlin is out here being a solution instead of adding to the problems. So there you have it. Caitlin Clark just proved she's not only the best player in women's basketball, but potentially one of the best broadcasting talents in all of sports. Her debut was flawless, NBC is already scheduling her return, and she's building something that could last decades beyond her playing career. This isn't just about one good TV appearance. This is about someone who understands exactly how to build a brand, maximize opportunities, and position herself for long-term success at the highest levels of sports media. And honestly, we might be watching the beginning of a broadcasting career that ends up being just as legendary as her playing career. So here's my question for you. Drop it in the comments. Do you think Caitlin becomes a permanent fixture on major broadcasts, or is this just a temporary thing while she's still popular? If this breakdown showed you something you didn't know about her media skills, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because her next appearance is going to be must-watch TV. I'll see you in the next one.